So I'm late to the party with this, but happy 80th birthday, Thomas. It's kind of crazy to think that the Railway series and Thomas have been around for 80 years, but hey, where does the time go? The 1984 series is 41 years old, and most of the generation that grew up with its airing are approaching middle age. I'm also late to talk about the release of the 1983 pilot, which has a lot of points of interest in it. And towards the end, I want to talk about something else that's lost from this time period in Thomas's history. So sit back and relax. This is what I have to say about the Down the Mine pilot. If there's one thing I love nothing more about Thomas, it's lost media finally coming to light. And Mattel, of all things, finally brought something to the community that actually made us care altogether about Thomas again. The reveal of this full pilot was massive. Some shots are reused from the actual final product, and others have been lost from the public eye for 42 years. Some shots are actually cool looking, and even the part where Thomas plunged into the mine shaft actually looks better in the pilot than the finished product, in my opinion. I love this slight zoom out shot we get of Thomas puffing away with Annie and Clarabelle out of the station. That's really amazing. I love this one in particular because this is where Thomas finally falls down the mine. Rather than just seeing Thomas take a dive into a random hole in the tracks from the final finished episode, we see the mine collapse first, then the hole appears, and it makes more sense that way. They should have stuck with this shot. It looks more dramatic. When Gordon buffers up to Thomas at the end, his buffers actually flex and look like they have cushioning. Like both these engines actually have weight to them. These are really good shots, and it's a shame that they have not seen the light until now. Surprisingly, I do not see too many people talking about this. There are a few, but I don't see too many. That's Gordon's face mask, and how young it looks here. See, Gordon's face has always been really textured. Really makes him look like a stern, grown, proud adult. His face mask here looks kind of young. There's a huge lack of wrinkles, especially on his eyebrows and towards the corners of his eyes. It's truly unique to this episode alone. Also, his bottom lip actually has a texture, which we don't see in the final model of Gordon. And this just could be me, but it could just be from the restoration process. But both Gordon and Thomas's paint seem to be a darker shade of blue here than the final product, which is this brighter, more cheerful looking blue than what we got here in the original pilot. On top of that, Thomas's whistle had a very different sound to it before it was changed to this lovely little peep peep that we all know and love for the past 42 years.
Hurrah, laughed Thomas, and he followed the...
All in all, the release of this 1983 pilot was a monumental moment for the community and Thomas in general after celebrating 80 years of existence. But then that leads me to another rare thing about Thomas from this time era in 1983 that I don't think too many people know about or even heard of. What if I told you there's something rarer? Something more profoundly lost, and it's rumored to be real, or something just conjured up for decades by either fans or crew members. And that is the Thomas theme song. But unlike any iteration of the classic intro music that we grew up with, this version is recorded and played by the Beatles. For Beatles memorabilia collectors, this is like the holy grail of lost Beatles tracks, but it's discussed within fans of the Thomas community as a rumor more than an actual fact. This could very well exist or completely not exist. Trying to get an answer out of a crew member or even Ringo Starr, the original narrator and Beatle himself, that would be awesome, but right now, this is getting thrown back and forth in between not real and real. Now, before I end this video, I just want to state that with this theme song being done by the Beatles, or if it exists or it's non-existent, don't take my fucking word for it, because I'm just as unsure and I have no confirmation as much as everybody else does. But I believe that if a track does actually exist and we get confirmation from a crew member or Ringo Starr himself or the production team, from now it's just going to be labeled as a rumor, simply thought of by fans to gain an interest into lost media. But if it is real, and finding such a piece of music would be just as monumental as the release of this pilot episode. Still, as much as I want to believe it, I'm calling it a rumor. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there. A lot of people have already been saying a lot about the 1983 pilot. Once again, I am late to the party. Fashionably late, I'd like to call. But it's really cool to see such a monumental piece of history come to life and be released to the public after 42 years of sitting in probably some storage bin in Mattel's, warehouse where they own the rights to Thomas. But that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.